up, very controversial on a pornographic website. He says he didn't do it. Former President Donald Trump spoke yesterday in North Carolina, didn't mention him, has not dropped his endorsement. Senator, do you think that former President Trump should drop his endorsement of Mark Robinson?
I will not cozy up to tyrants and dictators like Kim Jong-un who are rooting for Trump.
As the Trump campaign becomes more and more of a disaster over the past couple of weeks, we see Trump loyalists outdoing the Sunday shows increasingly more desperate. And of course, chief among them is Trump cultist Lindsey Graham, who of all of Trump's little supporters, little stooges, seems like he's the one who is always most worried and most afraid when defending Donald Trump. You see the panic in Lindsey Graham's eyes. And I don't know if that's because he is actually worried about the outcome of this election, that he knows that Trump always has something to hold over his head. And so he has to do his job as a Trump stow. But we clearly saw that today on Meet the Press when Lindsey Graham was really just in an uttered panic state. And this interview, much like the rest of the interviews that we saw today from Maga Republicans trying to defend Donald Trump, went badly so quickly because there's really just so much to talk about that Republicans can't defend. And I want to get into all of that. I want to get into Lindsey Graham's melt. But before we do, if I can quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join our movement. It's a really big support to this channel. Now let's get into this first clip of Lindsey Graham.
It's up, very controversial on a pornographic website. He says he didn't do it. Former President Donald Trump spoke yesterday in North Carolina, didn't mention him, has not dropped his endorsement. Senator, do you think that former President Trump should drop his endorsement of Mark Robinson?
I think what's going to happen here is that he deserves a chance to defend himself, Mark Robinson. The charges are beyond unnerving. If they're true, he's unfit to serve for office. If they're not true, he has the best lawsuit in the history of the country for libel. He's claiming they were artificially created and that CNN passed it along to be true. Has NBC confirmed this?
Not yet. We're all looking into it.
Well, so what I would do if I were him, I would hire me the best lawyer I could find. I'd sue the hell out of CNN because what they're saying about him is just unbelievable. Now, he needs to do more, in my view. He has a right to defend himself. He has an obligation to defend himself. This is hanging over his campaign. Trump won in 2016 and 2020 when the governor candidate lost both times. I don't think this hurts Trump, but as to Robinson, he's a political zombie if he does not offer a defense to this that's credible.
Maga is defense of Mark Robinson is not surprising. This is our expectation for them. But what it is, of course, is disgraceful, but also sad, because why they're calling him out, why they are upset with Mark Robinson, has nothing to do with the statements he's made, the actions he's taken, and the feelings he has. They don't care that he called himself a black Nazi. All they care about is the drag that he will be on. Donald Trump and the rest of the Republicans running in North Carolina, they're simply upset with him, not for what he's said or done, but for the political impact he's had, because that is all they care about. We talk about the selfishness of Donald Trump, but of course that is the Maga movement at large. They only care about their political gain. And so their issue with Mark Robinson isn't that he is a proud and out Nazi, but that he is a drag on their ticket. And that should really tell us everything we need to know about not just Mark Robinson, but the rest of the Republican Party that has clearly embraced him. And of course, the political impact only being the thing that Maga cares about is incredibly clear right here.
For years, it is a very close election. 63 days ago, Chuck Schumer led a coup to overthrow Joe Biden, and he's telling me or any other Republican what we should be doing. If they change the law in Nebraska, it won't be on the phone in the middle of the night. It will be through a democratic process. The entire federal delegation of Nebraska, House members and 2 senators, want this change. To my friends in Nebraska, That one electoral vote could be the difference between Harris being president or not, and she's a disaster for Nebraska and the world.
I hear you're calling it a coup. Of course, Democrats have the right to change who's at the top of their ticket.
So does Nebraska.
Very quickly, before we get to the Middle East, what do you think the chances are? What's the over-under that this change actually happens in Nebraska?
50-50, down to 2 people.
No, this is an issue that I don't think is getting nearly enough coverage. We talk about Donald Trump's attacks on our democracy in his attempts to subvert our elections. But this is an example happening in the light of day right now. Republicans in Nebraska are trying to change their electoral system, which is one of the only two in which the state is not win or take all in this country, so that if Donald Trump wins the state, which of course he likely will, he would win all of the electoral votes. Now, why that matters is because if we see a situation in which VP Harris wins Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and Donald Trump wins Nebraska, and she doesn't win Arizona and Nevada, it would be an electoral college tie instead of VP Harris winning the 270 votes that would be expected if Nebraska stayed the same way, and she won its 2nd congressional district Republicans. Right now, know they're losing this race. And so they're doing everything they can to not win votes, but to steal votes and change our elections days out from when our election will take place. And more people need to be talking about this because it is such a danger. And of course, this is something Donald Trump has been saying for a long time, that he doesn't care about votes. He cares about winning the election a different way, something he said right here.
So, Michael, you better win or you're never going to be able to come back here. If he doesn't win, he won't be at RNC and he will no longer be in North Carolina. He'll be looking for a job. I think he's going to win, and that's what he's focused. I said, you know, we don't need votes. What we need is honesty in the election. If we have honesty, we have all the votes we need. And by the way,
Donald Trump knows that his stows and his supporters across the country will do anything they can to subvert the election for him. And that is what he is encouraging them to do. And he's telling his supporters to go and be poll watchers, to go and intimidate. And it's what he's trying to do with election officials. We see this in plain sight. This is their plan. It is not to win votes. It is to steal votes, to change election processes, to deny results. This is what they did in 2020. This is what Donald Trump wants to do again. And it is incredibly scary, especially because Maga refuses, in the case of Lindsey Graham there, to really acknowledge how dangerous this is. And speaking of Lindsey Graham refusing to acknowledge a danger when he was asked about Donald Trump's stance on Ukraine, this is what he had to say.
Quickly on Ukraine, at the debate last week, Donald Trump was asked if he wants Ukraine to win the war, repeatedly pressed on this. He did not answer. What message does that send to Vladimir Putin that he couldn't say, yes, I want Ukraine to win?
What does winning look like? Here's what I think will happen if President Trump wins. He will end this war. The biggest mistake the Biden administration has made stopping natural gas exports to Europe. They were against the Keystone Pipeline, Harris, and for the Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
Senator, quickly, because we're almost out of time, does it concern you that he can't just say, yes, I want to see Ukraine win? Does that not send a mixed message to Putin?
That Ukraine was invaded on Biden's watch. It concerns me that Iran's running wild on Biden's watch. It didn't happen on Trump's watch. Harris and Biden are a disaster. Ukraine was invaded by Russia. Iran is running wild, wreaking havoc. So, no, I am confident Donald Trump will change things. If you want the world to change and you elect Harris, nothing's going to change.
Were you happy with that answer, Senator? Were you happy with that answer?
No, I'm okay with the answer of not telling what winning looks like. I am confident he will not reward Putin. But here's what I would say to the American people. If you think we're on the wrong track, you're right. If you think Kamala Harris is going to change things, you're wrong. She has her fingerprints on Afghanistan. She said on the sidelines she boycotted Bibi's speech. The Iranians see her as weak. The Russians see her as weak. Do you think it's an accident the world's on fire? The border is broken. Inflation is through the roof. She's not going to change things. She's going to make things worse. Right. And that's what our poll shows.
All right. Senator Lindsey Graham.
I think, Kristen, we're absolutely needed to push back more on Lindsey Graham for not giving a straight answer there. But because she didn't, and I don't know why not. It's very clear that Lindsey Graham is just lying on behalf of Donald Trump, who is a puppet of Putin. I think it is especially important we play this clip of VP Harris.
I will not cozy up to tyrants and dictators like Kim Jong-un who are rooting for Trump. Because, they know he is easy to manipulate with flattery and favors. They know Trump won't hold autocrats accountable because he wants to be an autocrat himself. And as president, I will never waver in defense of America's security and ideals, because in the enduring struggle between democracy and tyranny, I know where I stand and I know where the United States belongs.
Donald Trump reveres dictators. He is a wannabe authoritarian, and he would sell us out to Putin in a minute. That's what Kristen Walker should have said. That's what VP Harris said. That is the truth. That is the message. That, of course, another example of Donald Trump not caring about the American people, but only caring about himself and the people around him and what best serves his interest and their interest in any given moment. And that is, of course, the line, that is, of course, the message that we have to continue to deliver in this election. And we are going to, on this show, every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, you can leave a like, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comment so I can thank you for your support. And until next time, I'll see you soon.